Welcome to Meliora's channel, your go-to place for C# and data analysis tutorials, products hands-on demos, and insider secrets to keep you at the cutting edge of innovation. Our goal is to break down complex tech topics to a level that you will easily understand to supercharge your skills. Without further ado, let's jump right in. Hello and welcome back to my channel. In the last session, we created our default WPF training CRUD application, and we ran it, and it displayed a blank window. Let's run it again to just be sure it's still working as it was. Yes, it is. This is the blank window. So right now, we will now start placing controls on this window in an effort to design the user interface that we want to use to execute a CRUD application. So if I come back to this, you can see originally the default that came out actually was a grid. It was a grid like this, but the grid tags actually allows controls to overlay on top of each other, and therefore it's not a very effective control for us in the kind of application we want to do now. So we want a container control that will allow us to layer individual controls from top to down, and the control that enables us to do that is stack panel. So we start with the stack panel control. I actually, as a matter of policy, in all my developments, I try to start with stack control and now use any other container control of interest within the stack control. So in this particular case, I will then use grid control within the stack panel. And then in the grid control, we define the columns through the grid column definition. Grid.column definitions tag, and we then define the columns by using the column definition tags directly. So you then put in the width parameter. In the width parameter, you put the asterisk option, which just means take whatever the entire available columns, the entire available column space as the column. So in this particular case, because it's not taking it. Hold on, I'm trying to figure out what's going on here. So let's see. So I now to column definition. Okay. And I have the width parameter. Yep. So I should put asterisk there. The asterisk simply means so it's working now. So it just means take all the available space as the space for that column. So now if you now put more, let's put 3. So it means that they will share the available space into 3 equal parts, each column having 1/3 of the available space essentially. So now on the left hand side, we should be having a visual reflection of the sort of design we're putting forward here, but it's not very clear at this moment. So in order to make it visibly clear, what I will do is to just come here and put a height parameter. So I'll say height parameter, height to just 200. We're not just doing this. It's not because it's functionally necessary. We're just doing it just to let us see visually what we are doing as we are designing the screen. So you see, as we're designing the user interface. So you see it has divided this window into 3 equal places, and we actually want this middle space to be bigger than the remaining 2. So in order to achieve that, we can just do one simple thing. We come here to the middle one and you say maybe 3, and you see that means whatever is the width of this or this, I want 3 times that width to be the width of this. That's what we're saying here, and you can see that. Perhaps we need to adjust it more. Let's do it 4 times. Yeah, 4 times looks more like it. So this and this are equal, but this is 4 times one of them. So so now if we now come down here to start placing controls in there. So the first thing we may have to do is, first of all, the whole thing is looking a bit squashed. So let me introduce some margins. So here, let me put about margin of 20 so that at least there will be a little bit of space in between. Good. And if we also want, we can put a margin for the grid. So you can just also say margin of 10 so that it comes off the boundaries of the stack panel as well. So now, if I now specify the controls, so that's the first control I would like to specify is a text box, which we will use to, text block, which we will use to display just the label of the entry control. So we say text block. The first thing we would like to enter is maybe a staff ID. So enter like staff ID, something like that. And then we close the tag. And then the next thing will be a text box. So the other one was a text block, but this is a text box. For this text box, we give it a name because we use that name to reference it in the code behind. So we give it a name and call it text box name ID, because this is the ID code. So then we just close the tag. As a matter of fact, what I usually like to do is to wrap each of these entities in a stack panel as well. So a stack panel within the grid. So I would take this and then cut it off first so that I can insert my stack panel. So insert a stack panel here. And then I can now do this. Insert my stack panel, and then I can now paste the text block and text box controls. So as you can see, the text block and text box control has already been displayed here on the left as we are designing it. So, but as you can see, it went and displayed it on the first column because we've not told it where it should display. So it took that first column as the default place and they wanted to display, but we actually wanted to use the middle column as the column for display of all the things that we would like to display in this in this application. So to get it to display to the middle column, I'll come here and specify the column that I'm interested in by saying grid.column. Now the first column is refers to as 0, the middle column is 1, and then the last column is 2. So I want the middle column, which is 1. So I put it here, and automatically the controls, the text block and the text box controls are moved to the middle column, as we can see. So I would also create another pair of controls here. Put it here, and I call it now the text block. I'll just say enter staff name. So the first one was enter, the previous one was enter staff ID. This one now is enter staff name, and the text box will now be text box underscore name. So again, you see is displayed here immediately. So, and then the final thing will be probably enter that probably staff phone number or something, or address. So enter staff probably age or address. Let's say age. And then the text box will now be text box age. And as you can see, it will display there again. So again, these things are a bit squashed inside, so I would create some space between the entry points and the text blocks. So so here, for instance, I should do a margin. Then says this, and then I will put probably like a 10 here. Yes, that is the wrong one. 10 here, yep. And it will take it off. And I copy the center and paste on the text box above. So I paste it on the text box above. So and I have spaces in between, yeah. So now the other thing is to see the height of this data entry labels. The text box labels appear to be too narrow, so we can increase the height a bit by putting a height parameter here, and then we can see height of 30 and see here. 30 seems okay. So you can now copy this and then make sure that you get that across to all text boxes so that they look the same. So they are all 30 now. And with this, we have our basic UI ready, at least designed with WPF. So the only thing left for us to do now is to have a set of buttons. The insert, delete, the CRUD buttons. So what we can do again is to, at this place, have another start panel. Another start panel. But this time around, you make the start panel orientation to be horizontal. So instead of stacking vertically, you would want it to stack horizontally. So, and what we want it to stack this time is basically a set of buttons. So a button, and for every button, you're going to give it a name. So you call it create or insert, as the case may be, for the first one. And you give it a name. I think the name should be content. Yeah, content. And you give it a name and you call it, let's maintain the CRUD acronym. So you call it create instead of insert. For clarity, you can say create or insert. So anyway, let's maintain create. Then you then do a clicked event. So what will happen when it's clicked? You generate an event handler for the click event. So when the create is clicked, then the handler that is created by this will then handle that click action, which essentially means going to execute the the code, the section of the code that will enable you to capture whatever has been entered on this screen and insert it into a database table. But for now, we leave it at this point. We'll create the rest of the tables, the rest of the buttons. So we close this and we just copy and create the rest of the buttons. So we copy this and paste it for 3 times because we'll have 4 of them. So we'll have create, which is what we now have. We should have a read, we should have update, and then we should have a delete. So we paste it until we have 4 of them. Then you now come back to rename them accordingly. So this will be read. Or select. This will be update. And this will be delete to give us the CRUD. So now content will also be read, update, and delete. As a matter of fact, I usually follow a particular pattern for naming my controls. So as you saw, when I was naming a text box, I started by small txt and the box before the name that is given to the control. So ID is text txt box ID. Staff name or name is txt box name. So the same way for buttons, I like to use the small letter btn to start the name of the button. So I will try to change these names with btn. So create will become btn create, read will become btn read, update will become btn update, delete will become btn delete. And and with that, we just come here and change generate the event handlers accordingly. So we generate the event handlers for each of them by just clearing what was there, pressing space, and clicking the new event handler. So it generates it for you. And we already had the event handler for create button, but we generated it at the point that the name of the create button was just create and not btn create. So it will be nice. If you leave it, it's okay. It would work without any problems. But for uniformity's sake and then maintaining the standard that we want, I think I will delete this and generate a new one so that it will now be btn create underscore link clicked. So when we do this and you say new event handler, it generates btn create underscore click event for handler for you. So if you look at on the left hand side, see that all the buttons have already been created and they are now going horizontally instead of vertically, as the case may be. So again, they look so tiny, so we need to increase the height, and then we probably need to do some work to space it properly on the horizontal part. So to increase the size, I'll have to go to each of the button tags and include the height parameter. So for that height, we can make it 40 maybe. Yeah, 40 is good. And then we just do one and we'll copy and paste across the rest of the buttons. Height, yeah, and then put it across the rest of the buttons. Yeah. So I do that there, and do that here, and do that on the last button. And yep, so we have pretty much our stuff set now, except that we need to spread the buttons across horizontally better, but that notwithstanding, let's run it and see what we have now. So if I run button, yep, this is the user interface we've created for ourselves, and you see the way it's neatly centered, because the left part of it, remember, was the first column which we left blank without doing anything on it, and then the right side, which is exactly the same width as the left side, is the second column which we didn't do anything with as well, because we wanted to create this kind of neat spacing for the user interface. So it's looking good, except that the buttons are kind of squashed and they're not equally, no spaces, and they're not actually equally sized. So we can work on that in the next few minutes. Thank you. Thank you for watching, and if you learned something new or enjoyed this video, be sure to show us support by clicking like and subscribe. Your support helps us to bring you even better content, so stay tuned for the next exciting video. You can also click the link below to see other free and paid videos on other exciting topics. If the click did not work, kindly copy the link and paste on your browser. Thank you, and see you in the next video.